Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. Today is Sunday, July 21st, 2024. This is episode number 273. I am one of the hosts of this podcast, Jerry Evanoff, and with me, as he is each week, is Rich Kacy. Rich, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well, notwithstanding the fact that I actually got yelled at by a library patient during the week. But
library patient?
Patron. Did I say patient? I probably did say patient.
Yeah, which is probably a Freudian slip.
Yeah, probably so. Speaking of which, I actually have to dig down and find the new biography of Freud for somebody this week.
Oh,
so
okay.
maybe it's all connected somehow.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
What was my question? Oh man, I had a question for you, and now I've completely forgot. For our little banter, I had a question ready, and now I've completely forgot what it was. I'm very disappointed now. You were talking about the library and the library patient. I guess I don't remember. Well, if I remember during the podcast, I'll
here's a little thing. I may have mentioned this last week, but I don't think I did. My newest book display is a romance display, and I put out 3 different kinds of books, and they're all wrapped, so nobody can tell what they are. And they're labeled with these little chili peppers, and one chili pepper says "Some like it mild," and there's a little chili pepper there with angel wings, and looks real cute. And some like it hot, and there's a chili pepper there with a mischievous grin on his face. And then there's a section that says and some like it extra spicy, and there's a chili pepper that's on fire with its tongue sticking out like it's about to die.
Nice.
And except for a couple of small exceptions, everybody goes for the extra spicy ones.
Of course they do. Of course they do. That's really funny. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing that.
Oh yeah, I like doing that kind of stuff. I think I mentioned before that I think of myself as a bookseller. I'm trying to sell people books when they come in the door.
Okay.
Which I find makes the day a lot more fun, because I can come up to people and I go, "Oh, what you looking for?" And, "Oh, have you read this one, or have you read that?" And so
I like that.
I've read enough books by this point in my life where I can pretty much push people towards things that I think they'll probably like, given by what they've read up to this point. So
yeah,
it's kind of fun.
All right, well, that's great. I knew I was going to ask you, and it has nothing to do with what you're talking about. At one point last week, you mentioned you weren't sure if you were going to keep your old pen name, your current pen name. And I'm wondering if you change it when I do the introductions. I'm going to have to change the introduction, right?
Well, I'm leaning back the other way now, keeping it. In fact, I'll talk about something that in my updates that will explain my thinking at the moment.
Because the last thing I want to do is be like, "Hey, this is Jerry Evanoff, and with me is Stephen King, his new pen name."
Yeah. That'd be really maybe do a mashup like Agatha King or Christie.
So that's
Christy,
funny.
Stephen or whatever.
The first time that the 372 pages guys were reading they were getting ready to do a cozy mystery, which they did the Quilters Push Back, which is one of the best books they've ever read in terms of like the most fun, but also the most to make fun of. But it's also a really fun book to read if you like that thing. Like I'm reading the 8th Tech War series, the 8th book in the Tech War series. Haven't only read the first one so far, and it's like it's really kind of dumb, but it's also really fun to read. And I like when they do those kind of books, because that's the same with the Ready Player One book. Ready Player 2 was awful, but Ready Player 1 was fun. And he did a book, Ernest Cline did a book recently called Bridge to Bat City, which is pretty terrible, but it was really fun to read along with those guys. So, but when they did the first Cozy Mystery, they were reading through other titles and authors. And so many authors were like Agatha Harris and Agatha Jones. And it's like so many authors are like, let's try to capitalize on that. So
Right, exactly. But talking about dumb books and that are really popular, I think I've read a lot of Janet Ivanovich's books, and I think they're kind of dumb. The plots are kind of formulaic, and they're kind of the situations and what happens to people and how they get out of their situations. It's kind of ridiculous, but they're fun. They're fun to read. It's kind of like they're kind of like eating potato chips. You can't have just one. So
I'll take a fun dumb book over some great piece of literature any day of the week.
Right.
All right, so let's jump into my stats for last week. I had a really good week last week. Books 2, 3, and 4 are now first draft done, sitting there waiting for me to edit them. Obviously nothing this week. But book 5 is up 9,551 words to a total of 24,501. That includes chapter 10 through chapter 10, along with a prologue and an epilogue. And I'll talk about that in a little while. I have some questions for you about that, your opinion on writing on that epilogue. So my stats for the year: This is a running total for the year, and by year again, I mean March 1st. So this is going to be a 10-month total. I'm at 114,657. Almost halfway to 240,000, which is my word goal, and I'm almost halfway through that first 5 months, so I'm kind of on track to do it. My average word count per hour jumped again. This time up really high, 1088 up to 1114, and it has to do with the week that I had. I had a really good week, and I'm actually getting closer to the 1200 per hour that I used to average when I was writing first draft only back with my first couple books when I was going to lunch every day, in my old job, and I could sit down and write 1200 during that lunch break pretty easily. The goal was 7,500 words, and again, I crushed it. I hit 9,500, a little over 9,500. I'm going to say that I cheated to get there, although it's really not cheating. It's just, I had one more writing session than I had planned for when I did the math of 1,000 per lunch break at work and 1,500 per weekend or day off words. I actually had an extra one, which would have got me to 9,000. So I still beat it. So I'm pretty happy about it. So it was a good week. It was a good week.
Yeah, no, it was a very good week. For me, my Amelia Jones was up 3,982 new words this week. But overall, the story fell over 20,000 words. I opened it up on Monday. I took out my battle axe and I hacked the hell out of it. So now it now stands. I cut all the things I hated, all the things that I thought just weren't me, weren't my voice. I was trying to be somebody else that I'm not. So now it stands all the way back at 16,879 words. But the goal for the week was 3,000 new words. So I'm going to call it a success.
Absolutely.
And actually being able to hack 20,000 words has got to be some kind of success, just because that's really hard to do.
That's like cleaning out a closet and then realizing, okay, I'm going to throw this stuff away, but now I got to put all this other stuff back. It's just, it seems like a lot of work to cut those words.
Right. You put all that effort into it, and it's probably 20 hours of writing roughly. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it just can't work with this. I did do a little bit of a retreat on my retreat from the non-writing side of things when I realized that I'd lose my Rich Kacy email unless I re-upped with HostGator, the host for my website. So I did do it for another year. I don't think I'm going to stay with HostGator. It's become really expensive. So I'm going to look at alternatives, but this will give me a year at least to think about transferring the domain to a cheaper service or something. And I am, I kind of took your words to heart last week when you said you kind of like Rich Kacy. It's simple, easy to remember. And, I kind of like it too. And it really, my fit of pique to get rid of it was just kind of tied up in the idea that I was tired with HostGator. So I'm going to try to hang on to that one for now, or at least for next year. And I probably will use it going forward. If for no other reason, I can't think up of a good alternative name. All of them seem contrived, like we were just talking, Agatha King or whatever. Right, so it wasn't.
It's also like a good, easy name to say. Like I have friends, right? And there's a bunch of them that have like a bunch of syllables in their first name, last name, much like myself. But then I have one friend named Tim Ross. I'm like, that's a great name. And Rich Kacy I think that's just it just rolls off the tongue very well, and I think it's a good name to keep.
Right, and I always have problems even introducing myself to people because of my last name and because of the very first language I learned when I was really young was not English, and so sometimes my tongue feels like it's about 40 feet thick in my mouth when I'm trying to say English words. And you can say my real last name a number of different ways. And the only one that comes off trippingly off my tongue is the Polish version. And whenever you try that, people always go, what? What was that? So introducing yourself as Rich Kacy is probably a lot easier going forward.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had a shorter pen name now, because my last name being Evanoff, the number of people who say Evanoff. Now, there's no H in my last name, but I'll bet you 50% of the people who meet me for the first time say Evanoff back to me. And it got to the point where at my last job, one of the guys I worked with was picking up on it. He started calling me the Hoff. And I said, no, that's David Hasselhoff. I don't want to be associated with, I'm not a good German singer. I don't. But it happened today. I was golfing with my buddy who I've been golfing with for like 4 years now. And when he was picking, so he keeps our score in an app. That way it gets posted automatically. And he said, okay, add players. He said his name. Then he said, add players, Jerry Evanoff. And I just, under my breath, I was just like, there's no H in my name. And I don't know why people do it. I don't get it. But yeah.
Well, it's probably people who have poor vision, because, they can see that N and turn it into an H in their head. That's probably what does it.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah. And
All
then
right.
for the last bit of stats for the week, as of today, I've walked 382,000 steps since I started the job in mid-May, and that's roughly 125 miles. So that's clicking along at pace. I'm doing anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 steps a day, which is pretty good for the fact that I'm in a library, and unless you push yourself, you can just sit on your butt the whole day, and a lot
Yeah,
of people
you don't
do.
even have to push yourself. Trust me.
That's yeah. Okay.
It's nice though because you're doing that. Before you got the job, you were trying to go to the gym a few days a week, and now this
Right.
is kind of taking that place. And it's probably you're exercising and you're not even realizing it.
Right, right. Although the upper body strength will suffer if it continues like this. So I am toying with the idea of getting up early every morning. My gym
Okay.
actually opens at 4:30 in the morning, so I could go before I go to work since I don't start till 9. So I'm thinking about doing that. I just haven't gotten off my duff to actually do it yet.
You're at a library. Just carry War and Peace around with you.
Well, I could do that too. Yeah, or find big boxes of books and
There you
just
go.
carry them around.
Yeah.
In fact, when I interviewed, one of the things they wanted to make sure is that I'd be able to carry, up to 50 pounds. And, I've never carried anything more than a couple pounds so far. So I'm not sure what they were thinking. But
Wow. I wonder
yeah.
what's you haven't got to the thing in the library yet that's 50 pounds or more. I'm curious. I'd be
No,
excited to hear
no.
about that.
Yeah. Unless they're talking about some patron that, collapses on the floor. Like we had a girl had a seizure about a month
Ooh,
ago. And
yikes.
yeah, you have to hold them down and make sure they don't hurt themselves until the EMTs get there.
Yeah.
But
Ugh. Well, all right then.
anyways, yeah.
All right, let me jump into my weekly recap here. Talk about where I got all those words from, and then all the other weird stuff that happened to me. I say weird stuff, but weird stuff happens every week, so it's not really that weird. Monday morning, I was in the office. This is me doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I think for the first time, really enjoyed it. Really liked going. I hated getting up on Monday morning and being there, but by halfway through the day, I'm like, okay, it's lunchtime. I've got a couple hours left in my day, and I've only got 2 days left after this. Tuesday goes pretty quick because of golf. So by the time I get to Wednesday, I don't have to worry about going to the office. I love that Wednesday at home. It's kind of like that midweek vacation where I don't have to get up early. And at lunch I did some laundry, or I forget what I think I did some laundry at lunch, but I cut my grass on Friday. But sometimes I'll cut my grass at lunchtime on Wednesday. I really like it a lot, so I'm very happy with this. Had a little bit of a shorter lunch than I'd hoped. I don't remember why, but I was able to get 750 words finished, which it's under my goal of 1,000, but believe me, the week got better. But I was able to get words done, and this is kind of that third day. So I wouldn't have got anything in, had I not been working 3 days a week. So it's definitely a win for me. I don't remember what I did when I got home. Honestly, I probably played my football game. It's like 7 days ago. It's hard to remember that. Tuesday,
Yeah, because Mondays are your days off, or were your days off, right? You didn't do any writing at all. So
right, and that's going to become Wednesday now, I'm sure. So
okay.
Tuesday I was in the office, and I had myself going out very, very early again in the golf league because my golfing partner, he works until 5. He can't get to the course until 5:30, which puts us in one of the last groups, which also puts me getting home at like 9:15, 9:30. And since I'm not getting up early anymore on Wednesdays, I'm sleeping in because I'm working from home. That's good. But also he's able to get there a couple times, including this week. He's able to get there earlier. So whenever he can get there earlier, I do the schedule. I immediately put myself at the top of the schedule. I think I was third this week, and was able to get out and get home earlier, which was nice.
So do you do the schedule as you're sitting there on the first tee, or do you have to do it ahead of time?
I do it a little bit earlier in the day. Like I sent the schedule out last week that had me in one of the last groups, but then he texted me yesterday and said I can get out early again. I'm like, okay. So when I put the lineup together tomorrow morning, I'll move myself up.
Okay.
Which is, I don't care if anybody complains. I don't care. I've been going out, near the back almost every week. And also I do the schedule. If you don't like it, you do the schedule. So that's kind of my attitude toward it. So I sat down for lunch, had a full lunch. Because I had to go early. I didn't get a full lunch, but I sat down at my normal lunch, which was basically just 12 to 1. I wrote over 1,500 words on this day in that basically 45 minutes or so. And I believe it's because I was writing a scene where my characters were sitting down to play poker. And I've done that 1,000 times in Vegas. Yeah. I think I talked about that last week. So it was, the words just spilled out. I basically I made up a couple of scenarios with cards. And then I know how to play poker. I know how to play in the casinos. I know what the etiquette is. and it really wasn't that hard to write. And it had a nice
Right.
cliffhanger ending also, which was really good.
I find the same thing with me that if I'm writing a scene that I have previously lived through at least once, but even if it's more than once, I can top 2,000 words an hour easy.
Yeah.
Doing that, and a lot of it's just dialogue. The dialogue just spills out because you know what people are going to say in certain situations.
You're right. In this scene, I know as the cards go around the table and the cards come out and the bets are being made. Like I know what the exact correct terminology is without having to worry about researching it, which is nice.
Right.
I didn't play well again on Tuesday. I've been really struggling this year to break 45 in our league and break 90 when I golf on the weekends. And I know why it is. And what happened was I had a big, ugly, weak slice for 30 years of golfing up until 2020 when COVID hit. And I remember me and my buddy were out on golfing one day in August of 2020, and I had my Snapchat open. I was like, hey, you know what? I always film other people. Film me so I can get myself on Snapchat for my friends who want to see it. So he said, all right, well, he's not really a tech person. So I showed him how to do it. And then I took the swing, came back, and I looked at it just to make sure that he got me in frame and everything. And I was like, oh my God, that is the worst swing I've ever seen. It was all arms. It was awful. So I went, that was a Friday afternoon. On Saturday morning, I wrote into Google, for the love of God, I need golf lessons. Please, please, please. It was something like that. It was that dramatic. And a thing came up from lessons.com and I filled it all out and I took 3 lessons. The guy immediately changed my stance, my swing, my hands, everything. And I could tell that it was better, but I was really struggling because it was a completely new thing that I've been doing for 30 years. I've been doing it the other way. So a lot of practice. I took a lesson 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago at the course where I play up in Cleveland in my golf league. And the guy's a golf pro. He likes to tell stories about how he knows Ben Hogan and name drop like crazy, whatever. But he told me, he said, listen, you have to not worry anymore about missing left. He goes, your miss now should be left. If you can hit the ball left, you can get through it. You can hit it straight left instead of worrying about drawing it or hooking it or slicing it. Just miss left. He goes, your miss left is your best shot right now. And I said, why? That makes no sense to me. And he said, because once you miss left, you're getting through the ball really well. And when you're doing that consistently, then what you do is you just make it so you're hitting it straight instead. You learn how to get through the ball first, then you straighten yourself out. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Well, the last 3 months of last year and the first 3 months of this year, I am missing left like crazy. But I've golfed a few times with a buddy of mine who's taken a bunch of lessons. He's really good. He's probably he's a low handicap. And the last couple weekends golfing with him, he said, holy cow, you're getting through the ball well. And those are all on the ones that miss left. I said, okay, maybe now it's time to work on straightening it out. So on Wednesday, I started looking into lessons. I need to take a lesson from somebody, a PGA pro, who's a trainer who can straighten me out now because I'm getting through the ball well. The weak slice still comes in every now and then, but I'm getting through the ball well. So I started looking on Wednesday for that, and that's going to be something that I do over the next couple of weeks. Maybe take a couple of lessons. We'll see.
So what are you doing? You coming through the ball with a closed face or club face?
I honestly think that my arms are faster than my hips. So by the time I get here, I get around, it's not closed. It's just aimed that way. It's pointed that way. I need to straighten it out.
That's almost certainly true because, especially as we get older, it's not as easy to turn those hips and get the legs into anything, let alone a golf swing. And I don't know how many times I've been on golf courses and seen, older players, and it's just all from the waist up. There's, their lower body
arms,
doesn't even move a bit.
Yeah, I was all arms for 30 years, which is why I sliced and had no power at all. That's what all the lessons I took. That's what they all told me. You're all arms. And I'm getting better at it, but I'm getting through the ball now. So on the way home, very funny. On the way home, I finished up my Sophie Hannah Perot book. It was okay. It wasn't my favorite one. The first one that she did is still my favorite one. I don't remember what it's called, but it was book 1. This one was the one that had that really great plot twist in the middle, near the beginning of the middle, basically. And by the time it got to the end, it was like, it was a little one. So a lot of times when I'm writing my books, I concentrate on what is that final clue that the reader can look back and go, oh, well, that makes sense. But then I'll read this, the Sophie Hannah Perot books, and even the Agatha Christie ones. I'll watch some of the other stuff, and it seems like if the point of view is from the detective, or if the detective is the main character, which is how they are. I don't know why I said that. They always seem to hold one clue back from the audience. Then when they start explaining what happened, you're like, wait, where did that come from? I try not to do that, but then I listen to these books and I'm like, well, maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I can just do it the way they do it. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, it's Poirot. You're right. Poirot's are really bad for that because Poirot will notice something, catalog it, but it won't be obvious to the reader.
Nope.
What it is. It's more obvious in the television shows, but it's
yes.
not. Yeah, but not in the books, and that is not playing fair with the reader, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I actually bet I'd be willing to bet that if you look at most super successful mysteries where this, it's a series, I'll bet you the detective does that most of the time, where there's that one thing that they don't even let the audience know exists. And then when they start explaining what happened, they're like, here's the thing you saw. Here's the thing you saw. Here's the thing you didn't see that led me to it. Here's the thing you saw. And it's like, wait. Yeah. Let's go back to that one you didn't show me.
Right.
And that happened in this book. And it's happened in a lot of just mysteries that I've read. So, and I try, so I don't know, am I concentrating too hard on it? I don't know. I want to keep doing it my way, but, I don't know. I don't sell any books and they sell tons. So what do I know?
Yeah. Right.
So anyway, so I finished it. I still had about a half an hour to go. And I thought, well, I'm going to get that G is for Grafton that Rich, I bought it on the podcast last week. You mentioned it, said it was a mystery. It's a mystery, right? But it also has a lot of like writing advice or bio stuff. Is that right?
No, it's not. It's a biography, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I started listening to it, and I went about 5 minutes in. I'm like, this doesn't sound like what Rich described to me. And then I realized I bought G is for Gumshoe, which is one of her normal books. But,
right.
It's been 20 years since I read them, and I really liked them. So what the hell? I'm going to listen to it anyway. So I'm like 10 chapters in now, and I'll probably finish it. Now I'm to the point where it's like, okay, do I want to go back and start over every month with my Audible credits? I don't know, but I'm really liking this. So
yeah, I thought about that too. I thought about starting back at A is for Alibi and just work right through it.
Because I didn't listen to the last few. I don't know how many of them you listened to, or have you read any of them in the past?
Her books, yeah.
But
I didn't get very far. I think I got through. I don't remember. No, maybe I did read G is for Gumshoe. I know I definitely got through F. I can't remember what the title was.
Yeah,
but I did not definitely make it all the way to W, which I think was her last one.
No, I think she did a Y. I think there was a Y.
Oh, did she manage a Y? Okay.
I think she didn't do a Z, which was kind of sad.
Oh, okay.
But, So then Wednesday worked from home, and again, I really liked having that Wednesday at home, kind of a mini vacation in the middle of my work week. I'm going to do it again this week, and I'm going to do it for a while and see how it goes. Once football season starts and I'm up late on Sundays and Mondays, getting up at 5 a.m. the next day may be a pain. But again, 2010 to 2020, I did it every day. I was 5 days a week, 5 a.m. So, who knows? I did make a list of about 10 things on Post-it notes that I wanted to do at lunch. And then again, after I quit working at 4:30, whatever time I quit, I did manage to get a bunch of them done, but they were small things like do laundry, take out garbage, just things I wanted to remind myself to do throughout the day.
It's okay. It's really satisfying to be able to check those off.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah. And I did get a bunch of them done. Like I said, in the evening, I played the second quarter of my football game and put it on YouTube. And one of the things on the Post-it note was to go to YouTube and look at Prime Day stuff. I've never shopped on Prime Day in my life. I've either not, it's been the wrong day paycheck wise, or I didn't have money or whatever it was. This year was the first year. It was like 3 days after I got paid or 4 days after I got paid. Let's look around. So I bought 3 things. I bought dog food for my dog because, he needs to eat. I bought a Star Wars t-shirt that really wasn't on sale, but there's this Star Wars brand set of t-shirts that I love the way they fit me. So I've bought like one a week for the last couple weeks. Every couple weeks I buy one, and I just bought my third one. And then I bought something that was Prime Day, and that was another board game. And this was a non-sports board game. It's called Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and you can play it solo, which is what I've been looking for a while. I put in here that I planned on playing it on my YouTube channel this weekend, either yesterday or today. That didn't happen. I'll get into why. It's kind of an interesting, it was interesting to me story. So,
speaking of t-shirts, what are you wearing today?
Oh, this is the marble racer t-shirt. The O-Rangers is the team. So the O-Rangers is a team I root for in the marble racing on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I bought one of their shirts a couple months ago.
That's funny. I didn't even realize they're selling merch like that.
Oh yeah. What is it? Yellis, or I always say Gels, but it's Yellis, right?
Yellis. Yeah.
Yeah. They got a whole store where you can buy anything. So that's the Marbula 1, which is the NASCAR equivalent of racing. Right now they're in the middle of the Sand Marble Rally where they make tracks in the sand, and then they race down. And my favorite racer in that one is red number 3, so I might look for a red number 3 shirt at some point.
Okay.
We'll see. Thursday, I was back in the office, and I wanted to try something new for lunch. I'm tired of Subway. If I don't take something in, Subway is really the only thing. Corbo's is down the street, but it's really, really expensive. Subway gets boring after a while. There is a Heinen's, probably within walking distance, and I really didn't know how far it was. I could look at a map and go, "Oh, there it is," but I wasn't sure how far it was. Back when I worked at the previous job, there was a Heinen's that I would drive to about 5 minutes away, and I love their salad bar. It's one of those ones that they have a giant salad bar, and you pay by the weight. And I mean, I love that salad. So it took longer than I thought to walk there. And then the place was packed. I really need to leave at like 11:30 and get there really before the lunch rush. It took me time to find the salad bar. You had to walk in and then make a right and go up these stairs into this interesting like food court. They had all these different things. They had the salads, they had soups, they had like meat and chicken. I had no idea any of this was there. I like the idea of it, and I may try it again. Maybe now that I know where it is and I know what time to leave, maybe I can get there a little earlier and have a little more time to write. But I got a salad. I walked back, and by the time I was finished eating, it was like 12:25. So I didn't really have a lot of time to write. I ended up writing over that 35 minutes. I ended up writing 860 new words, which again, more than I thought. So again, the words per hour are really starting to ramp up, especially when I plot really well. So I planned for 1,000 a day for those 3 days I was in the office, and I ended up like 3,300. So I still was over my average, and it was all because the Tuesday where I got 1,500 in like 45 minutes, which was good. Nothing exciting in the evening. I made some dinner, relaxed on the couch, did not do anything YouTube video wise or anything like that. So Friday, I worked a half a day. I worked until 11, then it was off the hothead. You're going to notice a theme there. I wrote 1,723 words in the, hour and a half that I was there. I finished chapter 8. And it's funny, I was looking at this draft, and I think the number that I gave today was 24,501. I'm not even to the halfway point yet, and I'm already at 24,000 words for this draft. My last book, first draft, was 32,000 words. I think it's because it's Vegas. I know like more details than what I knew about the HOA book. So I'm writing more words as I sit down to write.
You have more scene description and more environmental stuff. Yep.
Yeah. And so this one's going to be a little bit more complete when I'm finished with the first draft than the previous one, which I'm okay with. It's fine. Let's see. What did I do here? So I don't think I did anything else exciting on Friday. So the reason is I knew I was going to be going to bed really, really early on Friday night. I think I went to bed at like 8:45 because me and my buddy Dave, we golfed Saturday morning, but the course was technically closed. There was a full course outing at 10 a.m., but we asked, hey, if we come in at like 6:15, 6:30, and you leave us a cart key outside and we just get on a cart and we play, we'll be done by 9:30. Can we go ahead and golf? And they said, yeah, that's fine. So I got up at 4:45, which is just crazy to golf, but I did anyway. And I left whatever time it was. I got there at like 6:10. We were the only two there on the course the entire time, and we played in like 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like we played fast. We didn't rush, but we played fast. The other thing we did is we played from the white tees. We played from the up tees, which is about 40 yards closer on every hole. I think the blue tees are 6,500 yards and the white tees are like 5,800 yards. So it's
really. Oh, you mean overall? It's
overall. So it's about 40 yards per hole. Difference. Although on some holes it's like 10 yards. There's two holes where it's like 100 yards difference.
Oh, really?
So it's and I shot 86, which, from the white tees, I should play better than that. Again, I should play better than 86 from the white tees. My handicap is like 12. I should shoot 81, 82, 83. And I just had a couple of bad holes, which is what happens to me.
Right. Well, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you are closer. I get, what do they say? It's like for every tee you move up, you have to add a stroke basically to what you expect to get.
I think my handicap is like 18 from the blue tees, and I think it's 11 or 12. So it's about half a stroke for this one.
Oh, half a stroke.
Every hole.
What about from the red tees? Have you ever played from the red tees?
I have not done it, but I actually would like to try it once. I think when it gets colder, it's like, October, and Dave and I are just going to go up there and play by ourselves. We'll do that every now and then. We'll play from the white tees. Maybe I'll just suggest, hey, let's play from the red tees this time and see what happens. And,
it's kind of fun to be able to hit the green in one.
I mean, the third hole, the blue tees are 320 yards. The white tees are 220 yards. I can't imagine. And it's par 4. I can't imagine what the red tees are. I have to look. Maybe 200 yards. So this is the funny thing. I was done by 9 a.m. I was home by 10 a.m. The goal was to make it to Chick-fil-A for breakfast. So I walked into Chick-fil-A at exactly 10:30, and I looked up at the board and went, okay, it's breakfast. And I walked over to the counter, and Big Ed was working. I'm like, what's up, Ed? I made it by breakfast. And I looked up, and they had switched it to lunch. And I said, oh, Ed, I was really hoping to make for breakfast. He's like, what do you want? Because I know the guy. And I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll take lunch. It's fine. I just want to, it was almost like I don't know if have you ever seen Midnight Run?
No.
Dude, I'm not even going to spoil it. One of the best all-time movies, Midnight Run, is from there, like maybe 86, 87, 88. It's Robert De Niro, Charles Grodin. I can't remember anybody else who's in it. Joey Pants is in it. Joe Pantoliano's is in it. It's a great movie. Robert De Niro has to go get Charles Grodin. He's a bounty hunter. He's got to go get him and get him back to Los Angeles in like 4 days, and everything goes haywire. It's rated R, but it's a hilarious comedy. Go watch it. It's so good. Yeah, and I'm not even gonna give my metaphor or whatever I was gonna give, because I don't want to spoil the ending. It's so good. So anyway, so I ate, and while I was there, I wrote 1,136 words. It's about 50 minutes. I wasn't there very long. I don't really want to get into the details of why I left early, but let's just say, when you have your computer out and your phone and you have to use the restroom, the last thing you want to do is pack everything up, go use the restroom, and then come back and continue writing. So I just got up and went home. It's just easier that way. Once I was home, I kind of sat on the couch for a while. I may or may not have fallen asleep. I'm not sure. My eyes were closed. I know that. And I kind of got up and said, okay, let's play the next football game. I played the first quarter, and I recorded it to go up on YouTube later last night. Well, I still haven't put it up on YouTube. I'll probably do it when we're done here. But then I was bored. I wanted to play the Star Wars. It's like 3:00. I wanted to play the Star Wars game. I set it all up, and the board is way too big for my table here where I'm playing games. So I have to like reconfigure everything to play this game, and I don't want to reconfigure everything. So I have a kitchen table that I'm looking at in the other room that if I get a tripod and a camera, I can probably get it up high enough to point it straight down, put the laptop, just move the laptop. Everything else stays the same. And so I'm going to look into doing that over the next couple weeks, and then I'm going to try to play this game for YouTube.
You're going to turn your entire house into a studio by the time you're done.
I mean, what else do I do with it? You know, I'm okay. I never came in this back room for the longest time until I started podcasting back here.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it works out well. So it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm bored out of my mind. I have stuff to do. I just don't feel like doing it. And I kind of sat there and said, okay, here's the deal. If I don't get out of my house and go do something, I'm going to do something stupid like buy a car. I know me. When I'm bored, I spend money, and I did not want to do that. I'm having a blast paying off my house every month. I've got a nice one coming at the end of this month that should put a nice dent into my house. So I figured what the best thing to do is go back to Hothead and write some more. I only did 1,100 words in the morning, so it makes sense for me to continue. I wanted 1,500. I only did 1,100. So let's do some more. So I went back to Hothead. This time would be the second day in a row. I had started chapter 9 in the morning. I finished chapter 9 that night. I added another 1,900 words in about 90 minutes. So I had a total of over 3,037, just over 3,000 for the day, which is, I mean, I am so happy about that. That was not expected, and to get that 1,900 in, it's not what got me over the limit of 7,500, because I think I would have been at 7,600 without it, but it really just made me happy to get more words in.
Sure.
So, and then I before I left Hothead, I was updating this outline with what I did, and I added another bullet point underneath that just said, I am tired. I was so sleepy. So in the evening, I was going to play some more of my football game, but like I said, I was dead tired. So I went to bed around 9:30, watched YouTube for an hour or so, and then went to bed. And Sunday, I got up at a decent hour finally, and that was 5 a.m. to golf again. Played really well for 11 holes, and then completely and utterly fell apart on the 12th hole, which is my nemesis hole. When you play from the white tees, you get like 60 yards, and there's this big old pond that sticks halfway out into the fairway, right around where my ball goes from the blue tees. I mean, I have so many golf balls in that pond. And today I turned the club over my hand purposely, and I hit it so far left that my next shot wasn't anywhere near the pond, and I hit it right into the pond. So I'm already hitting 4. I think I got an 8 on the hole, just bad. And then I fell apart after that. Like I was so bad the last 7 holes or 6.
If there's any water within a quarter mile, I always find it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Well, this hole 12, I always say that the drive, my tee shot on 12 is the most important shot of my round. If I don't go in the water on that hole, then I'm probably gonna have a good round. If I do go in the water, the whole thing blows up.
I find myself on the tee going, don't think about the water. Don't think about the water.
Yes.
Don't think about the water. And then you hit it right in the water.
Yep. If you would like think, okay, where do I want the ball to go? Not where do I want the ball not to go? You'd probably be
Right.
better. That's how I feel
Right.
sometimes. So,
Right.
so it's a horrible class. I did have a par putt on the 18th hole that I just lipped out, and it would be, I'm sorry, a birdie putt that I lipped out. It would have been nice to finish with a birdie after collapsing for 6 holes. I ended up missing it, but I parred it, so it's fine. Came home, and I kind of kicked around the idea of not only where to go to write, but what to write. I wasn't sure what to do. I had already gone to Hothead Friday and Saturday, and I didn't know if I wanted to walk in there a third day in a row, just because, okay, it's all the same people, and they'd be like, oh, you again. I have to have that conversation. I just don't know if I wanted to have it. So my options were basically Hothead or Buffalo Wild Wings. I didn't want to go anywhere else. Chick-fil-A's not open. So I really didn't know where I was going to go until I got in my car and started driving. And yeah, it led me to Hothead for a third straight day. And I had that conversation I didn't want to have with people. And, but one good thing about it is the pretty manager came over and asked me what I was writing, and we had a nice conversation. So I was happy about that.
Cool.
And then the question is, what do I want to write? Do I want to write chapter 10? I had the idea for this epilogue bouncing around my head where, I've got the character from book 3, who is the one that convinces Sam, the main character, come help him. I'll turn over some of your dad's files that I know about if you'll come help me with this murder. Sam gets there. He can't find the guy. Halfway through the book, he sees him, but then the guy runs and escapes. His name's Eric. He escapes. And then Sam's got the police looking for him in the next book. Can't find him. And the epilogue of book 5 is him getting killed by the serial killer who's going to show up in book 7. And I was so excited about writing this scene. I had it kind of bouncing around. I wasn't sure what POV I wanted to do. Did I want to do it from the murders? Did I want to do it from Eric's? Like, I didn't know what to do. So I immediately started writing chapter 10, but chapter 10 wasn't very long. It was like 800 or 900 words, and I didn't want to leave Hothead yet. So I wrote the entire epilogue too. So for the day, I wrote 2,084 words today, which is chapter 10 and the epilogue. So I didn't know where I was going to go write, and I didn't know if I was going to write chapter 10 or the epilogue. I went to Hothead again, and I wrote both of them. So it was a pretty good day.
Fantastic.
Overall. Yeah, it was great. I think there's a lot of excitement about writing this book. Like, I'm really enjoying writing it, which is helping me get through it quicker than maybe the last book, which was the HOA, which I enjoyed, but I just didn't have the knowledge that I have about Vegas. My gambling addiction is finally helping with something, which is
well, and I think this, when people say write what you know, I mean, this is what they're really talking about is, at least when you're starting off, write something with characters and an environment and a setting that you're familiar with, because it makes writing so much easier.
Yeah. You don't have to go out and murder someone to write what you know.
But
like you're saying,
that does help too.
Yeah,
that does help too. So,
that is a good point.
If you're into that sort of thing, it shouldn't hold you back.
How do I put that as the title? Anyway, so
murder shouldn't hold you back.
Oh, I love it. I don't know. I hope Spotify is okay with that. Let me write that down. And then one thing that isn't on the shouldn't hold you back. One thing that isn't in the outline that I do feel like I should say as a bullet point is, no, I did not go to the casino this weekend. I didn't even really think about it. Like, it wasn't even a thought, hey, maybe I'll stop. I didn't even care. So I feel like I just took the pack of cigarettes and flushed it down the toilet, and I'm good. It's cold turkey. We're good. Not worry about it. So I
guess you got the same kind of experience writing about it.
Actually, that's right. Oh my God, you might be right. I might have to write every book about a casino now.
Yeah.
You're right. And then finally, my goal for next. Oh, I don't know why I put this here. Yeah, I'm going to move that. I don't know why that's here. Okay, go ahead. That's my week in review. I don't know why I wrote that there. I'm going to write it at the bottom.
That was a fantastic week. Fantastic week. A lot accomplished and a lot of things done. My week, I worked Monday through Saturday this past week at the library, but I was able to write steadily every single day. So that is one thing I'm trying to get into, write a little bit every day, even if it is just a little bit. I never wrote more than 700 words a day, but I also never wrote less than 500.
Nice.
So I'm giving myself a gold star, at least for perseverance, if nothing else. But right off the bat on Monday, I opened up Amelia one file and immediately realized that I was writing a story in someone else's voice. I just hated it. Oh. And, I quickly went through and deleted everything that made me wince. And it was really easy to identify what it was, where it didn't sound like me. But I think there's two reasons for it. Number one, I was trying to write to an outline. And I think I'm just gonna have to
That's
accept the
not
fact
you.
that I can't.
That is
That
not
it's
you.
just not me, and I'm just gonna have to throw that away and just become a discovery writer and be happy with it. Because everything I write to an outline, it sounds so stilted and formulaic, and it just lacks personality. So I kind of felt bad about getting rid of all those words, as I said earlier, but I did breathe a sigh of relief when it was done. And then right after I got back home from work and ate dinner, I sat down before bed and hammered out the first 500 new words, just off the top of my head. Discovery. I didn't know where I was going. I loved them. It was. If I had more time, I probably could have stayed up late. It would have been great. The only problem with staying up late at this job is if I stay up too late the night before, the next day, right around mid-afternoon, after I've had my lunch and things are digesting, I get so sleepy.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there at the desk, my head is nodding, unless there's a lot of people, which is why I get a lot of steps, because when that comes, I get up and I start walking. And
Right. Yeah, I do that. I do it at work now. I walk at 3:00 every day. I do a couple laps around the building. Sometimes around 11, I do it too. I like what you wrote, by the way, in the stats section. I don't know if you read it or not, but it reminded me what you just said. You said it now stands at 16,879 words, but I love every one of them.
Yeah, exactly. I do. Tuesday through Saturday, it was just steady writing at lunch each day when I had the time. I did revert back, like I said, to discovery writing, and just going to forego the outlining bit because it's just not me, and it kind of robs the joy out of it. And so I went to Joanna Penn's podcast and listened to a couple episodes as I was driving back and forth to work, because she has a lot of episodes about how discovery writing. She's a discovery writer, and she also has people on there that talk about discovery writing. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a morale boost listening to somebody else talk about it. So other than plugging along, day in and day out, nothing really exciting happened until yesterday, when we had a quote unquote reading party at the library for all the kids that in the local area who are participating in the summer reading program. We had not one, but two bouncy castles inside the library. We had a couple of guys inside the library doing balloon animals, and we had a face painter, and kids and their parents came and went all day, but I don't think we ever had less than 100 or 125 little guys running around. It was loud and chaotic, and the screaming of the kids in the bouncy castle. I walked by one. I'm kind of down on one side of the library where the adult section is, and most of this was happening down at the other side of the library where the teens and the juvenile room is at. But I had to go back there a couple times to look. And one time I walked past the bouncy castle and just watched what was going on the inside. And it reminded me a lot of World Wrestling Federation tag team matches. Kids were bouncing off of each other and throwing each other around. I'm surprised somebody doesn't get hurt in there. It was amazing. And then the contrast, the library closed at 6 yesterday. By 5, they had shoveled everybody, all the kids and parents out the door in order to have time to clean up. And the quiet that descended on the library, it was amazing, the difference. It was really weird. Actually, it's kind of creepy. It made the library feel a little bit creepy. I did start a new book yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening called The Mystery Writer by Solari Gentile. It's one of those meta murder mysteries where a story that the writer is writing is weaponized by somebody else to commit a murder.
Oh, okay.
And the author has to find a way to write through the end of the story and discover who the murderer is. So it's really, really interesting. Oh. And it's really fantastic writing too. Her style is quite literary. She's an Australian writer. And by the looks of her, she might be an Indigenous Australian. But she's got a fantastic command of English and the use of words in order to evoke emotions. So I'm quite looking forward to finishing or getting through this whole book. It's called The Mystery Writer by Solari Gentile. And that was it. Today we basically church in the morning, came home, had something to eat, laid down, took a 2-hour nap, and then I got up and we're podcasting. So
how many times did you go on the bouncy castle?
Oh, I really wanted to. But they had very clear in there. Nobody over 13 or 11 or something like that. Yeah,
that's not fun.
No, and I also wanted to get a balloon animal, but the line was huge for that.
Yeah,
face painting. I kind of drew the line at face painting. Although the face painter was quite good. Some kids were walking around with some amazing stuff on their face.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of my running list of future things to do, I've scrubbed everything that was on there. And going forward, I'm going to be very judicious about what I add to it. My sole objective right at this moment, because I've been in such trouble and been so unhappy with my writing, is just to get back into enjoying the writing and being happy with what the words I lay down. So if I have to have something on a future list of things to do, that's what it is. Be happy with the writing.
There you go. I actually scrubbed mine also. What a coincidence.
All right.
I did leave on there, do the drawings for each book, because that's something I do want to do in the future, but that doesn't have to be done until I'm ready to release, and that can be the last thing.
Mhm.
But I kind of draw just a hand-drawn map of some area. In the golf course, it could be the actual golf course book, course itself. In the Vegas book, it could be, the casino. In my HOA book, it could be the neighborhood. Just something I hand draw, and I'm horrible when it comes to drawing, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I don't want something professionally done that looks beautiful. I want it as if my main character sat down and drew it out for himself.
Right. I don't know if you know this or not, but you can do a hand drawing, and it can be really lousy. And you can take a photo of it, upload it to Midjourney, probably to some of the other sites, and basically tell it what you're trying to accomplish and where you're going with it, and it will take your drawing and the basic what am I looking for? The basic graphical distribution of item on it, and it will create a much better drawing. I've seen some YouTube videos of this, and it's really, people sketch. A guy would sketch a really rough sketch of, a mermaid, and it looks like maybe a 10-year-old did it or something, a non-talented 10-year-old, and you can upload it and you can tell it, okay, basically fix this for me, and instead of making it look like a 10-year-old, make it look like a 20-year-old did it. Right. And then you can tell how much expertise this person has, and it will adjust it for you. So you might want to look at that. That'd be kind of fun. I thought about playing with that, but then it's another one of those time sinks that I really don't need.
I mean, if I can do it with Midjourney, which I don't actually subscribe to, I bet I can do it with ChatGPT the same way, where I just upload the picture.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm sure. Because I don't want it to look horrible, but I don't want it to look like an expert set. I want it to be like, my main character has a little bit of talent. He sat down and just drew out a quick map, and then I put it in the beginning of the book. Before the book starts, that's where I put it. So
right.
And then I added 3 more things here. Number 1 is to download my MailerLite lists and set them up in Excel so that I can upload them to whatever I end up using next. And my nose is just began bleeding out of nowhere. That's wonderful. It happens sometimes. You got to deal with me on this one. So funny. Download my MailerLite lists and set them up in Excel to upload to whatever I use next. Even if it's MailerLite, which apparently they're going to delete all my data on like September 2nd or 9th or something like that. I want to update my author website to talk about what I'm doing with these next 9 books or these 8 books that I'm working on. I want something on the front page, because right now, if I go to the front page, which if you're on YouTube, I'll pull up here while my nose is continuing to bleed. And this is what I have. I literally just have a picture, and I have over here on the right upcoming books, and I just have book 2 on there, and that's it. I don't want to have 8 books on there, books 2 through 9 with like 75% done, 75% done, 75% done. I want to actually have a description of what's going on. So in this section where I have my latest release, I might actually change that, make it smaller, and then put like a paragraph that just says, here's what I'm doing, in case you're wondering. So be ready for that. And then lastly, I want to check out Novel Crafter again, but not the AI side of it. There's a version of it that's called Scribe that literally allows you to use it as if it was writing software. Because I like the codexes so much. I really like the idea of codexes. It becomes your story Bible. And then if you ever do want to go to AI, it's all in there. And the problem with anything like this is that that means I have to sit down and do the work of entering all that data. And that's a lot. I mean, there is a lot to enter. I've kicked around the idea of asking my niece to do it. I'll pay her if she does it. I don't know what kind of time she has, but if she could read book 1 and just go through and give me a story Bible, give me all the people, all the locations, all the events. And I'm sitting here with my head pointed up just so my nose doesn't bleed, because it's bleeding right now. And maybe she can have that done for me. So maybe if I go into Novel Crafter, give her the login information, she can create that stuff, and I could pay her to do that. I've also thought about going to Fiverr and seeing if there's people that will do that for you. Like I'm almost looking for like a PA for like a month just to do that for me. That's it. And so I'm kicking that idea around. I don't know if I'm going to do it or what I'm going to do. I may not open Novel Crafter at all, but I just like the idea of having all that information in a story Bible. And right now I'm not doing a very good job of doing it in Scrivener. So.
Right. Well, the easy thing to do, and I've done this, is you take your text, you drop it into ChatGPT, and you tell it, create a character sheet for XYZ for me. And it will create a character sheet.
Yeah, that's
And
an
then,
idea. The only problem with that is if I want to do book one, I mean, I guess it's not that hard. I'm just doing one chapter at a time, or maybe two chapters at a time.
well,
Yeah, I gotta
I
think
mean,
about that.
you can do, well, if you pay for it, I don't know what the free version of 4.0 is like,
Oh, I paid
but
for
yeah,
it. Yeah.
if you pay for ChatGPT, you can drop in 100,000 words at a time or whatever it is, and just
Yeah.
tell it, read this whole thing and give me a character sheet for Agatha Raisin or whoever your characters are.
Right. I like that.
Yeah,
So
and it does a really good job. It
yeah,
really does.
I'll have to look into that then, because I'm looking for. I still like the idea of the novel crafter in case I ever want to use the AI having those codexes in there.
Right.
But I do like the idea of maybe going a chapter at a time or something like that, and just copying and pasting what it gives me, and then kind of changing it up, putting it in the right format as I need it. So
Yeah.
all right. Before I get to my addicted to, I'm gonna pause this video, Rich. I need to straighten out my
Okay.
nose real quick because it's
Okay.
bleeding. And give me like 5 minutes, and I'll be back.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. Hopefully, I got this all straightened out. If I didn't, you're gonna see me on YouTube sitting with my head tilted back for a little while, just to be on the safe side. In terms of my addicted to, I got two things on there. Number one is Hothead Burrito, apparently, because I've gone there now 3 straight days. The only thing that's gonna keep me from going there tomorrow is the fact that I have to work tomorrow in Cleveland. And if I didn't have to do that, I probably would go back again, because it really is my favorite place to write. I was sitting there today, and there was a woman who walked past me, and I had my laptop open and I was eating, and she just goes out of nowhere. Nobody ever talks to me, and she just goes, "Wow, what a great place to do some work." I'm like, "I love this corner." And she's like, "I don't blame you," and it's great. So it's great. And then fantasy golf is my other addicted to, as I watch Nick Dunlap putt, get in. Oh, it's on the edge. That should fall. I'm in 2 fantasy leagues this weekend. Whenever there's a major, and the British Open was this weekend, I'm in 2. I'm in one that's weekly. It's been going since like March, and that's the one that has 420 people. I'm currently in first place. First place is $3,000. Costs $50 to get in. It's my 3rd year in the league, and today was the British Open. It ended about 2 hours ago, and should still be comfortably in first place. My guy didn't make the cut, which means he got $0, but not a lot of people behind me made the cut either. And the 2 guys that did make the cut, they didn't make much money. But there were 2 events this week. The other one is called the Barracuda Championship, which is on right now. And my guy's currently in 3rd. It doesn't pay much, but of all the people behind me, my guy has the chance to make the most money, and it's almost over. So, so that's huge. That means there's only 4 events left, and I still sit in first place. I have a pretty good lead as far as I can tell. So I just got to get guys to make the cut the last 4 events, and I should win that money. And that money is probably going to go to my house and paying off my cell phone, which is amazing. I don't want to spend it before I get it because there's still 4 weeks left, but I'm very happy. The other fantasy league is one I do with my old boss from my old job. He runs one that has about 30 people in it, maybe 20 people in it. And he does it only for the majors. So the Masters, the US Open, the PGA, and the British Open. And today was the British Open. And I won first place in that one. $10 paid me $150. And he already paid. So I was very happy about that. So I've been watching a lot of golf this weekend, but more because of fantasy golf than anything. So
right.
It's been a good weekend fantasy golf wise.
Well, my addicted to, I thought it was going to be the Red Green Show, that Canadian comedy that I talked about last week, but that turned out to be a bust. It really did not hold up well, even though I thought it was really hilarious 30 years ago when I first watched it. So it's one of those things that was of a place and time, I think. The closest thing to addiction then that I have for the week is cherries, which are in season right now. And between me and my wife, we've probably eaten close to 10 pounds of them this past week. So I guess if you're going to have an addiction, being addicted to fruit is probably a good one to have.
Yeah, absolutely. I have shows like that you were talking about, the Red Green Show, like Perfect Strangers. When I was a kid, loved Perfect Strangers, Larry and Balky. But if I watch it now, it's crickets. There's nothing there, and I just loved it as a kid. So all right. So upcoming for this week, I'm going into the office the same as last week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I really did like it. I love that Wednesday home day. I'll write each of those 3 lunches. Tomorrow and Thursday, I should get pretty good lunches. Tuesday, I may end up putting myself early again because my partner Dan can show up early. He texted me yesterday, so I'll readjust the schedule. So that one could be a little bit less of a, although last week, that's the day that I got 1,500 words. I still left early. So who knows? We'll see. But I'll shoot for 1,000 per day, 3,000 for the 3 days total. Friday is the same as the past couple weeks. I'm going to work a half a day, although I may be heading to a sports card convention. I guess there's like a national sports card convention. When I was a kid, I collected football and mostly football, but some baseball cards too. I got thousands of them in my closet in there. And a friend of mine who listens to the podcast, Brian, contacted me a couple days ago about coming up and then going over there around 1:00 on Friday. Brian, if you're listening, please confirm with me whether we're going to do that or not, because I was waiting for him to confirm. I'm going to write either way, whether it's at 11:30, 12 o'clock, or it's at like 3:30. I'm going to go write either way and try to get 1,500 words. Saturday and Sunday, same. I'll golf in the morning. I'll write after, trying to get 1,500 words each day. The goal is 6,500 words, even though if I do the math, it's 7,500. I don't know what about the sports car convention. I'm not sure what that's going to do in terms of cutting into my writing time. So I'm going to go with 6,500 this week for the goal. But the cool thing about that goal is if I hit 5,400 this week, I'll pass 120,000 words for my 10 months. I say my year, but I started March 1st. And that means I did 120,000 in March, April, May, June, July. And that leaves August, September, October, November, December, which is the halfway point. And I'll be at the halfway point. So it pretty much works out. Although there are more vacation days and holidays in the second half of this year than there were the first. So I think I'll have a chance to get even more than the 120,000. But I'm shooting for 240. I'm shooting for that 120 for the second half of the year to get to 240. Anything after that is just kind of icing on the cake. So
yeah, that'd be great. My coming week, I work at the library Monday through Thursday this week, and then I have a long weekend next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm going to try to write every day at the library for sure. And then maybe try to push myself a little bit more next weekend. I have some projects going around the house, but nothing that's real critical at the moment. So I'm going to try to actually set aside some time for myself, which I really haven't been very good at doing since I started working there at the library. I will be taking the final exam this week for that mystery course that I've been taking online for the last month or so. I'm not sure I really learned anything brand new in that course, but the thing that was really good about it is he used many, many examples of different concepts and stuff from published work that everybody would be familiar with. So that was very helpful to see the concepts and put into action and how the different authors did it, because it was very obvious that different authors have different approaches to what they did. And it helped me realize that when I read books, well, number one, I read for enjoyment usually, but sometimes I'll read and try to dissect it as I'm reading, which kind of takes away from the enjoyment. But now I really have a better idea of what to look for, not just what strikes me, but also what, where are the turning points, where are the things that the structural signposts that people are putting in here, and see if I can identify them. I am teaching another Excel course at the library this coming Wednesday, so I'm going to have to do some prep for that tomorrow and Tuesday. It's going to be a grab bag of data analysis techniques that's a couple of people want me to go through with them. So we'll see how much time that takes up. Hopefully not a lot. And then other than that, I just want to keep my daily word count going at around 500 at a minimum. And so I'm going to keep the same goal of 3,000 words by next Sunday, and I should hopefully be able to easily hit that. We'll see what happens.
Great. I don't have anything to share this week, so I definitely want to dive into yours.
Okay, yeah. I want to start a new little feature, and I shamelessly stole this from the what's it called now? No, I forget what Brandon Sanderson and Dan Wells' podcast is called. Let me look real quick. It's called Intentionally Blank. And every now and then they'll have a podcast episode where it's just one or both of them come up with a bad story idea, and they just throw it out there. And sometimes they talk it out and flesh it out a little bit. Sometimes a bad story idea turns out to not be a so bad story idea. But bear with me. I'm going to try not to trip through this too much. But here's my bad story idea. So it's been 30 years since Alf escaped Earth with the help of his other Melmacians who were part of the diaspora when Melmac exploded, escaped from the alien task force. But he's now back on Earth. I mean, he's older, he's a bit wiser, definitely a bit grayer, but he's no less of a sense of humor, and he still has a taste for cats.
Okay.
But this time he's here on purpose. And the first thing he does when he comes to Earth is he seeks out Eric Tanner, which I believe is the name of the youngest of the Tanner family.
Brian.
Brian Tanner, right? Brian Tanner is now a senior engineer at SpaceX.
Oh.
And Alf convinces him to get him on at SpaceX as an engineer. And in the 30 years that Alf has been gone, he's been continued to be in the Space Corps, has learned all these mad skills. And what he doesn't tell anybody is that he's actually now a major general in the intelligence service of Melmac, which has moved to a different planet since their own planet got destroyed. So he gets to SpaceX, and he comes in as a new engineer, but he rapidly works his way up because he's got mad engineering skills, and he's contributing to SpaceX all these alien techniques and things. But what he doesn't tell anybody, and what nobody knows, is that he's on a secret mission. And the secret mission is the rendition of Elon Musk, who is an escaped convict from the planetary system in which they now live. The Melmacians live.
Okay.
So I don't know. I this came to me in kind of a half-waking dream. I have no idea why, but I think there's a lot of things that could actually go right with a story like that. Maybe not with Alf himself. Maybe we have to have some other kind of alien in there. But I just like the idea of a big furry creature being an engineer at SpaceX, and because he's got such mad skills that Elon Musk takes him under his wing and doesn't realize he's actually trying to capture him and take him back to his home planet.
Okay. So many things pop into my head. Number one, where's Lynn? I got to know where Lynn is, the sister.
Okay.
There's got to be a rendition of the song that he created for Lynn. You're the something for me. I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. There's got to be a rendition of that. But what I want to know is, are the people working at SpaceX just like, oh yeah, we just have an alien now that's working with us? Like, I feel like there's a version of it. Maybe you've got like a spin-off series that's like The Office with Alf as one of the characters, and maybe the rest of them don't like him.
Well, in my mind, what it is SpaceX and Elon Musk and the people he attracts are so bizarre anyways that nobody notices he's an alien.
Okay. I like that.
That only Brian knows who he really is and recognizes him for what he is.
I mean, I love the idea of like Engineer 1 saying to Engineer 2, hey, did you see what Gordon did? Alf's real name, Gordon Shumway. Did you see what Gordon did? And they're like, oh yeah, he, we went to lunch and we were talking. Nobody brings up the fact that he's an alien. I'm cool with that. I like that part. Yeah.
And you could have maybe to add a little bit of suspense, you could have one or two people in SpaceX, maybe a secretary or something, accidentally witness Alf chasing down a cat in an alley and eating him or something. That would be. That would add a little bit of suspense.
And then would it become we're not talking, are we talking comedy here or more like science fiction?
Oh, well, science fiction comedy. I was, thinking, okay. Yeah, kind of like, kind of like Star Trek used to be, but where there would always be comedic elements in it, but they're trying to get a straightforward method.
What was the Nathan Fillion show that everybody loved that lasted one season? Oh man. I can't remember what that was called. That was kind of a Western science fiction comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, for the life of me, I can't remember what that was called. Because I wonder, like, now Alf is seen chasing down the cat, and the secretary sees him. Like, does she have to be silenced?
That's right. Yeah.
There's a comedic thing. I'm curious where we're going here because I do.
Yeah. You can go either way with that, probably.
I like it.
But we could offend all the pet lovers out there by killing cats.
As long as we don't touch dogs, we're okay.
Okay.
As we don't touch dogs.
They don't say anything about cats, do they? They say you can't kill a dog, but they don't say anything about cats.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Ryan George's pitch meeting for John Wick, where he, they have the back and forth with the producer guy and the scriptwriter guy, and at one point, scriptwriter guy says, "Oh yeah, he kills his dog," and producer guy just goes, "Somebody has to die." So I think we're okay with cats.
Well, yeah. The only way you can kill a dog up front in a movie or a story is it's a big signal that this story is going to be really dark.
Yes, you have to. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So,
okay, so I'm just going to throw this at you. I didn't have this prepared in the outline, but I'm going to throw this at you. As it's not a bad story idea. It's more of just an idea that I've always had that probably would be really bad if I ever tried to write it. In my mind, the TV show people, they all live in the same world. So like, if I was in New York City, I could go see Jerry Seinfeld. I could go see, Rachel from Friends, and I could go see, Paul and Jamie from Mad About You if I wanted to. They're all, and a lot of those shows have crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always thought about what it would be like to write a book or something that, even a short story where the characters like went across the USA visiting all these different TV show families or characters. But then I think to myself, I love the idea, but I have no story. Like I literally have no plot. I just like the idea of going from, Toledo, Ohio, where Michael J. Fox as Alex P. Keaton lived. Or actually, I don't know if he was Toledo or not, but while you're there, you stop in. I think the people from Glee were from Lima, Ohio, which is really close to Toledo. So I'm like, it would be fun. But I have no story for it. But then you start talking about Alf Returns to Earth. And now my mind is like, okay, what other TV shows can I work into this?
Well, I'll tell you what, talking through that idea, the first thing that popped up into my mind is the main character who's going from place to place is Nicolas Cage. And
of course.
And in each place, there is another clue that will lead to the something about, something along the national treasure kind of idea.
Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. Something like that.
It's not a bad idea, actually. We might have to workop this a little bit more. I like that.
Yeah, and the only reason why I thought of Nicolas Cage is because I was reading the review of his new movie, Long Legs, in which he apparently does a masterful, creepy job it's a horror movie, and he does a masterfully creepy job in it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I like
that guy is amazing. He has made so many movies, and they're so varied. It's really interesting. I read an interview with him one time. He said the only reason he's made so many movies and works so much is because he's always had trouble managing his money. He's always been broke. So,
didn't he do a movie within the last couple of years where he was like a parody of himself and it was kind of a biography?
Yes,
but it was a fake biography. I think it was.
Yeah, well, it was so it's something like that. In fact, I think it was him, and wasn't Pedro Pascal in there too?
I don't know. I
think so.
It was kind of like a weird Being John Malkovich type of movie, I think.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but it looked like it was really good. And it was pretty well reviewed as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think is that where you want to stop for now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I really like the idea. Next week I'm gonna have Alf sitting like maybe next to me on the chair.
Oh yeah. Definitely gotta do it.
Right now he's on my second TV, and I've got him so his arms are holding him as he peeks over the corner into the living room from the upstairs. It's kind of weird. I will continue to call it my Alf on a shelf. So as I move him around my house. All right, everyone, that's the podcast for this week. You have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I'm done.
All right, that is the podcast for this week. If you want to get a hold of me, Jerry@jerryevanoff.com is the email. The website is jerryevanoff.com. We are on YouTube, youtube.com/@newauthorpodcast. If you want to watch us while we do this, you can see my marble madness, my marble racing shirt for the O Rangers. The only reason I picked the O Rangers is because I'm a Browns fan, and the orange marble is always easy to spot wherever you're looking on the track. So I immediately became a fan of them. Red number 3 is my favorite sand marble one because there's a giant 3 on it. Again, easy to spot. So youtube.com/@newauthorpodcast. And then we are on Patreon. I've got the page up now. If you're watching on YouTube, patreon.com/newauthorpodcast. Come over, support us, be a fan, help us pay for what we're doing here if you're enjoying what we're doing.
Yeah, and unlike what I said last week, my email address and website will be good, at least for the next year. The email address, if you want to write to me, is rich@richcacy.com. The website is richcacy.com. And you can also find me on all the social media sites except for X, where I refuse to go.
That's the only one other than Snapchat that I really am on. Although I never actually tweet anything. I follow like 75 people because of all the stuff I've muted. I literally just get fantasy football news and that's it. So it works.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. That's the end of the podcast for this week. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Yeah. Have a great week.